What's going on, guys? It's your boy Hatter from the FFL Commissioner, and we got our boy here, my guy Logan Paulsen. Man, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. So, how's the training camp going? I know today was the first day. Um,
They start the conditioning test. What is today? Monday. This conditioning test is tomorrow. First
gotcha.
practice, I think, is Wednesday, and then Thursday is kind of like when everything starts kicking up. So still a couple days yet, but definitely right around the corner for sure.
For sure. And what are you exactly looking at right now, man? In training camp, who you excited at looking at?
I mean, shoot, I'm excited for everybody, really. Like it's so
Yeah,
funny when you cover the team the way, like this is the only team I cover. This is all I talk about. I've got a podcast, I've got the TV that I do with the Commanders, I've got a radio show that I do. Like it's a lot of content. And so to me, you've been speculating for the last, I don't know, 3 months since the
right,
season ended,
right.
about where the team is at, where the team is headed. So like I can't wait to see Emmanuel Forbes and Quan Martin. I can't wait to see how Cleek Hudson is fitting the runs. I can't wait to see Jamin Davis out there. Can he continue to build on the last 4 games of last year? Chase
Right,
Young healthy. Can't wait to watch that.
right,
Offensively, I think the storyline writes itself. Offensive line and Sam Howell.
right.
Like what do those guys look like? How do they gel? How's EB calling plays? How's practice organized? I mean, there's so many things that I just can't wait to watch. So I'm really, really excited for
And
training camp and everything. So
about that, man. I mean, look, this is a 20-year change. We
mhm.
have a new era finally in Washington. Dan being out the building now. How do you think? How I'm sure obviously it'll be a big impact, but how will the whole thing change? You think in what aspect?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and it's something that's I think it's kind of unknowable right now.
Yeah,
Owners don't change very often in the NFL, and when they do, it's always kind of. I think it takes time. It takes longitudinal change with ownership. But I do
right,
think in the immediate turn, like I think the fans are motivated. I think the coaches and the players are kind of excited for the change as
right,
well.
right.
So I think there is some positive things in the short term, but I think in terms of big picture, winning culture, all that type of thing, I think it just takes time for ownership to get the people they want to get in.
Right.
Um, I don't know anything about Ron and his future, but coaches, they probably want their own guy. They want the VP structure is probably going to change. That's going to take a little bit of doing. So we'll see. But in the meantime, I think players are excited, coaches are excited, and I know the fans are super excited. So
Right.
and I think they should be. There's a lot of talent on this roster.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, Eric Bieniemy coming in here and showing what he's got his first year. I think it's gonna be something later down the line that they might even put him on as a head coach position over here in Washington. I mean, that's what I'm projecting that what's might happen. Um,
It's entirely possible for sure.
and then also, what do you think, man? Like, what do you think our record could be this year?
I think that's a really good question. You talked to London Fletcher. I think he on the preview prediction show we did, he predicted 12 wins. I think that's probably a little bit rich. I think Vegas has us at 7 or 7.5, which
Right.
I guess I kind of feel. You've got a young quarterback, second year player, didn't play a lot last year, one start under his belt, and Sam Howell. Those guys traditionally have a tough go, and
Right.
that's the most important position in football. So I think
Right.
they could. I think best case scenario, they're probably in that 9 to 11 win range. Best case, realistically, I think that's 7 to 8, 9 wins is probably more realistic. I think that
Right.
kind of middle of the road, middle of the pack,
Exactly.
in terms of the division. But we'll see. Like this defense has the potential to be very, very special. Like if Chase Young is healthy, like holy cow, bro, they could be dominant. They could be for sure a top 5 defense, and a top 5
Right.
defense means you don't have to score a lot of points. So
Right.
um, I think there's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but I'm also trying to be real. Like
Right. You have
young
to. I
quarterbacks
mean,
have a hard time, so.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did show a lot of hope in the Dallas game, which he won last year. The
Mhm.
last game of the season. So, that was great, to be on tape and you see how he slings the ball. And also, I mean, we have a lot of tough games this year. I mean, once
Yeah.
if when I looked at the schedule, I mean, to me, those are pretty tough. But let's see how that goes. Let's see how
Yeah.
this season goes for sure, and we'll check back in. But now let's put that aside. Let's talk about Logan Paulsen.
Okay.
coming out of UCLA,
Hmm.
right? Um, coming to obviously our team first. The Redskins at the time from at 2010. You were there with when Mike Shanahan was there. How was it being how was it being under him, and then also getting that switched over to Jay Gruden?
Yeah, I mean, I was really fortunate. Mike, like I was an undrafted free agent, so they didn't have a lot of money or time or draft resources allocated to me. But he gave me an opportunity over some veteran football players, and I'll forever be indebted to Mike. And I look back on him and his leadership style, and the older I got, the more I can appreciate kind of his philosophy. He was a player's coach. He kind of let the players run the team, but he also knew how to be disciplined. And I
Right,
think that staff is well lauded now. People talk about it all the time, but Kyle's the OC. Matt LaFleur is the quarterback coach. McDaniels is the GA. Like they just
right,
had Sean McVay's the tight end coach midway through that year. Like they just had an incredibly talented staff, and so I was very very blessed to be a part of that group, and very very blessed that they took a shot on me. Really,
right,
because I never thought I'd be playing in the NFL, to be quite honest. And so that was a huge blessing, and I look at Mike as kind of the guy that gave me that opportunity. And then
okay,
obviously when Jay came in, it was just a very different leadership approach. I think he's a very
okay,
smart football guy.
right,
I think he kind of more from the hip, more of a gut kind of play caller.
right,
He gave Sean the opportunity to be the OC, kind of making those game plans and developing those skill sets, which now are on display in LA.
right,
And very different approach. Also kind of a player's coach, but I think Jay would tell you not the best disciplinarian in terms of enforcing some of his team policies, which I think hurt the team long term, but I think
right,
he's a very bright dude. Provides great insight, and a guy that
right,
again I have a ton of respect for. Just
right,
different philosophies
right.
in terms of leadership and team management.
Right, and good thing you said that because I saw that as well, even through the TV,
Oh, really?
and then speaking of that, I mean, you were there the 2012 season, probably the last best season many of the fans saw.
Yeah,
RG3's first rookie year, right?
yeah,
Comes in and just changes the whole, aspect of everything of the team, right? Comes in, no one has tape on him. He does what he does. And has a great run to the playoffs. How was that for you? That experience with RG3.
I get asked that question all the time, and I'm going to give you the same answer I always give. It was like the best experience of my football life. It was awesome.
Wow. Wow.
Like the offense was clicking on all cylinders. We felt kind of untouchable. We felt
Right.
dominant. Especially that last 7 game winning streak, beating Dallas at home,
Right.
beating Dallas on Thanksgiving. I mean, it was a tremendous experience and something that
Right.
I'll remember for the rest of my life. And obviously, things changed pretty dramatically that offseason, obviously with Robert's injury and him getting
Right.
ready for week 1 and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, man, it was fantastic. Great bunch of guys, great team, really well built by Mike, and great offensive innovation by Kyle and that whole staff. So really, really blessed, I think, to be a part of that is the way I would characterize that.
Wow. And speaking of injury, man, I mean, obviously, we know that, RG3 is a running out of the pocket type of quarterback, right?
Sure.
And obviously during the time, when he was taking hits, and you remember the hit he took with Haloti Nada in the Baltimore game, and even the game with the Bengals in
Yeah.
2012. You know, switches happened. Mike Shanahan wanted him to be a more in pocket type of quarterback, which is something not used to. He didn't just it to that well.
Sure.
And obviously he was playing hurt. By the almost the end of the season. Especially the playoff game against Seahawks. So do you think one of the downfalls of RG3 would be the way Mike Shanahan kind of try to switch up his game?
Well, I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding there by you, and I'm sure by a lot of people. Mike didn't want that transition, from what I understand. And I don't know. I'm not preview. This is all rumor and hearsay, and so you'd have to ask Mike. You'd have to
Right.
ask Robert. From what I understand, Robert was the one who wanted to make that change and wanted to transition to more of a pocket style thrower.
Okay.
Because of his injury history and because of, I think, kind of the direction he saw the position going.
Right.
Like the great quarterbacks at the time were
Right.
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, and those guys were all in the pocket guys. And I think he wanted to change the narrative about himself and kind
Right.
of, again, manage injury risk, which is totally understandable. So you'd have to talk to him about that, Robert specifically, and Mike, because those were conversations that they had. But from what I understand, that was a decision that Robert was wanted to make, and I think that affected not only his career, but it affected the whole team. And
Hmm.
because we became a less effective offense in 2023 uh, because we weren't as effective running the football. And
Right.
so like everyone has the right to be in charge of their career and in charge of their own destiny. But that's definitely something, from what I understand, that Robert wanted. So
Okay. Okay. Well, there you have it. I mean, everyone, I'm sure, was always thinking, obviously the rumors were going around that, hey, Shanahan did this, and he wanted to put him as a pocket QB, and messed up his tenure with us. But well,
interesting.
that's very interesting. And then when you were there, you were a backup with Chris
Sure.
Cooley and Fred Davis.
Yep.
I mean, how were they a good impact to your game?
I mean, they were great. Chris obviously was one of the best in the league at the time and a guy that I had looked up to for a long time and really helped me with a lot of the subtleties of the game. I remember him talking to me about my get off in training camp, basically saying, like, you're like a second late. And I was like, no, man, I'm getting off on the ball. And he was like, no, check it out. And we went and watched a little film, and he was like, you're a beat late after everybody. So then I went and talked to the center, and the center basically said, oh, I don't actually snap the ball on the cadence. I snap the ball a little bit before. So
Right.
like just little insights like that from a guy who was, a very, very bright dude, very, very physically gifted. Very good football player.
Right.
I just feel very blessed to have learned from him. And then obviously Fred Davis is a physical freak. Is one of the
Right.
freakiest guys that I've played with in terms of like a strength, speed, physicality standpoint, and was able to learn a lot from him. And he pushed me because I was very competitive with him, and I
Right.
was like seeing him do what he did from a physical standpoint every day. I was like, man, I got to really up my game. So I feel very, very blessed to have worked with both those guys, and they taught me a lot about what it means to be a pro. So
Definitely. I mean, bro, I remember you, man. When you used to catch the ball, I mean, shoot, forget about a second later or not, man. You used to bull rush people. I remember that. I mean, the way you used to hold the ball like this and just like,
yeah.
you know, run through people. I mean, that was a good that I was like, man, that's Logan right there. And you're not gonna fall back on on your back for sure. And I remember those. But yeah, man, I mean, I can't wait for this year and see, how we do. For sure. And I'll definitely see you around always, at FedEx and stuff like that. And we'll definitely I'll bring you back on, mid-season and see, how we're doing, your feedback and
Mhm.
my feedback of, how the season is going on so far. But I
Sure.
do appreciate you coming on my show. Um, and man, good luck to you, man, on, interviewing and all that stuff with the
Thank you so
Commanders.
much. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you having me on, and good luck. And we'll talk. I guess we'll talk soon.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. Logan Paulsen, guys. We will see you guys soon and more podcasts to come. Appreciate it.